All right, Eddie Kiokpa joins us live from Dallas, Texas, to speak on the fate of Donald Trump. Mr. Okpa, if you can hear me, I mean,
Yes, I can.
Yeah, Mr. Trump just appears to be like a cat with 9 lives. Several indictments. Yes, his favorites to clinch the Republican nomination. Well, that's what the polls say. Why is this so?
Well, thank you for having me. For disclosure, I'm a Trump supporter. I supported him for the first time, and I'm supporting him for the second time, despite the indictment, until something else says that he's not a candidate. You know, Trump is a man who behaves like a freshly poured concrete. He gets stronger every second. Only Trump, only him can survive what the Democrats have done to him. No other Republican. Other Republicans would have caved in. And the Americans know this. The Americans know that some of these charges, this indictment, the first time in the history of our country, that a former president is being picked upon by things that shouldn't even be there. So that is angering people. And because of that anger, a lot of people are supporting him because we want to see him as a nominee. And, hopefully it's going to be another rematch of Trump and Biden. The indictment is what the indictment is. It's not a conviction until the court is, hears all both sides and makes a determination as to guilt or not guilty. Even at that, what's going to happen, it's going to be appealed. So you're looking at about a good a good 5 years for this matter to be resolved. Of course, if he becomes president, it's a different matter altogether.
All right,
But
Mr.
what
Okpa.
is
Yes, Mr. Okpa, I'm curious as to why you are a strong supporter of Trump. Why has your confidence in him, remained steadfast over time?
Well, because I like what he did when he was the president. I mean, for the 4 years he was there and all the things that were being thrown at him, he was still able to get a lot of things done. I like him for the fact that he was the one president that said nobody should die coming to America. If you want to come to this country, which is what a lot of us have done, whether you came 4 seconds ago or 400 years ago, as long as you claim this country and you entered it legally, you are an American. My father wouldn't have let me leave Nigeria if I didn't have my visa. In fact, I had to show him visa. I was denied visa 2 times. So that's what Trump is. But for the Democrats, it's like come one, come all. There is no integrity for any country if everybody just comes in. I mean, you take the case of Nigeria. What if everybody in Chad and Niger and Cameroon start flooding Nigeria? We're just going to have a reaction.
All right,
So
Mr.
the
Okpa.
reason that
I've listened to you reel out why you are, in so much support for Mr. Trump. But then, are you in support of his belief that the last elections were rigged and that the Democrats did not actually win the poll?
Well, I have my views on that, but that's water under the bridge. I'm not going to get back into whether he won or not. The fact is that somebody else is in the White House as president. President Biden is in there. So, just like the assassination of Kennedy, some people still tell stories about it, whether that was a conspiracy from the inside or the outside. That's just the nature of of people. There are always going to be two sides or more than two sides to an issue. So the thing is now we have an opportunity for Trump to emerge as a new nominee for the Republican Party. I mean, the time is still long, but so far he's leading. And if he makes that by March next year, we'll know who the nominee is, and then we set for the election in November. But so far, he's looking good despite, the indictments, because we know some of the indictments are ridiculous. I'm not a lawyer, but when this thing started out, I was just tickled by it because I said, it's going to backfire, and it's backfiring.
All right, then. I sincerely appreciate you for sharing your thoughts with us. Global Affairs Analyst, Ejike Okpa, thank you for talking to us on The World Now.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, we'll return to Mr. Okpa once we are clear he can respond to this. In the meantime, we turn our attention to Asia, where at least 11 people have died and 13 others are missing in torrential rains in Beijing as China braces for the third typhoon in as many weeks. The remnants of last week's superstorm Doksuri flooded Beijing for the fourth straight day on Tuesday, even as another typhoon approached the eastern coast. More than 50,000 people in the city have been evacuated so far, according to state media. The flooding has hit several districts, disrupting train services and traffic. At least a dozen people were killed in the Philippines and Taiwan as Daksuri passed through at the end of last week on its way to China. The country's emergency management ministry has warned that heavy rains are likely to persist this week and flooding could worsen in northern regions around Beijing. Tianjin and Hebei province. Relentless rain over the weekend broke daily precipitation records at 14 weather stations in Beijing and the northern provinces of Hebei, Shaanxi, and Shandong. Chinese authorities have not announced an official toll of victims or reported how many are missing outside the capital city.